Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back to our construction-to-style videos. What are we going to talk about today, honey?
The why of what we do, the beginning, how we got into it, maybe how we met.
Yes, all of it. So,
which kind of all intertwine anyway.
Yeah. We got started back in 2012. Jamie was flipping his first investment property, and my background was fashion merchandising and marketing, and met Jamie, dive bar, danced the night away. The rest was history.
Bailey's on Grand.
Bailey's on Grand. And yeah, so you were buying your first investment property, right?
Yeah, so to back up a little bit, went to college for carpentry in Moorhead, lived in Fargo, and graduated in 2009, kind of at the middle tail end of the housing crash. Got a job with a commercial waterproofing company, and at the time, like in the winter, we would get laid off. So in the winter, I had free time and wanted to get back into the carpentry, like passion, if you may.
So we met, and then you had just bought that investment property.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Jamie, he took me into this first investment property, and I thought he was playing a joke on me. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me, because it was a rundown foreclosure home. And then slowly but surely, I saw like what you're doing. I had no idea your level of skill set at all, and couldn't believe your talent. And yeah, I think I was like, let's start a blog about it. And construction2style, we came up with the name. Very clever, I know. And then started documenting what you were doing. You were kind of too, just like didn't care, open, like, I don't even think you really fully processed, right?
Well, at the time, it was like, what is a blog even?
Yeah. So you're just like, sure, do whatever.
Yeah. Well, and we were newly dating.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not going to be like, no.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not doing that.
Wow. Had we waited until we were married, then you would have probably said no.
Yeah.
Oh my
sure.
gosh. It was meant to be. So then, yeah, started documenting everything you're doing, paint colors, right? Like asking you. You were designing out this home. And I was like, why are you choosing that? Why are you doing this? And then started talking about it. And then our first client, people started reaching out, right, to do furniture. And
yeah, there's a lot of furniture in the beginning. At that time, it was like the pallet wood era, where pallet wood and barn wood. So like, yeah, you could, pretty much anyone could do it, because it didn't have to be pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much from the blog and just sharing about it is kind of how people like.
Yeah, because your first ones was like a side table.
Yeah.
A main, oh my gosh, we'd built, remember the dining room table?
Yeah.
We built the biggest dining room table we've ever built.
Well, that was actually for a client.
Well, I know, but we had
a kitchen client.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
True. Yeah, that was our first kitchen too. First kitchen remodel that we did. We would call all of our friends and family to be like, can you lift this table? Help us lift this table into this house.
Yeah, all built out of 2x4.
I know. I wonder if it's still standing. If it's warped.
Probably warped. But I don't think it went anywhere.
Oh my gosh. So yeah. So then one thing kind of led to another, right? Like people started reaching out to remodel their homes. Brands started reaching out. We started realizing what affiliate revenue was, what ad revenue was, how to monetize in different ways. And I was working at a merchandising company, and then we got married, had kids very quickly, and then after Beckham was born, during that time too, I transitioned to a digital marketing agency, and then was working there, learned even more about like brands. Influencers were a new term that I was learning about from the brand perspective. So then, I was commuting to Minneapolis, and it was just too far. And I was like, I can't be working full time. I can't be having all these kids. I can't be doing all of it in all the places at once. So then I jumped ship to...
Yeah, and working your full-time marketing job, and then going to client meetings during the day to help me.
Yeah, in between lunch, and then, running afterwards. And so I was just juggling a lot. So I remember that too, and being like, I don't know, do you think, when you remember back to that time, like... I don't remember thinking like this fear at all, because a lot of times people ask like, how did you or when did you know how to take that leap or jump into it like full time for both of you? And I was just like, I just remember knowing like, there's no option. One, we don't have time, and two, there's so much opportunity and like momentum and things we can be doing.
Yeah.
Do you remember any feeling you felt?
Well, I think with anything in life, you're never fully ready. Like you're never fully ready to get married. You're never fully ready to...
You weren't fully ready to get married? The heck?
You made me do it.
I did. I was like, I gotta go if you're not moving here.
Yeah.
Time's ticking.
But no, like, we hired Topher before you even came on full time.
That's right.
So Topher, our PM, like, has been working full time for the company longer than Morgan.
Yep. So then, yeah, I guess to back up too. So that first property, that's when we got married, and then lived there for a while. Then you sold it. Then
Yeah,
we
we
bought
lived there for like a month or two.
Yep. Then we bought a second investment property, lived there for a couple of years, and then.
Well, we renovated that one while you were pregnant.
That's
Because
right.
I remember, I was like, you can't come and help me because I don't want like the paint fumes and all like
Yes.
things like that
Yeah.
while you're pregnant.
That's right. Because
So
that was our
much-
first child, and we were like, oh,
Yeah.
fumes now.
So I pretty much did that project on my own again.
Again. Oh my gosh.
I had help,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it was kind of me on my
Yeah,
own.
totally.
But that was kind of how we got our feet wet and got kind of even the cash flow to like
For sure.
launch what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I always say that too, just with anything and what we built and where we're going. It's like we worked so hard and we saved so much. And like with the investment properties, like you save that money. I remember too when we were getting married, I was just like, dang, this guy like knows how to save his money.
Yeah.
I did not know how to save my money. Yeah, so then the house. So we did the second house, married, kids. I'm like, when did Kayla? Well, no, we had another designer. So yeah, that's kind of when too we were like, okay, hiring, but then also like every single time too. I think that's another like question we get asked is just like, when do you hire? How do you know when to hire? And
Yeah, and again, like you're never fully ready
yeah,
for it.
yeah,
Like, I don't know, but when you take that jump into it, like you have to make it work,
yeah,
kind of.
yeah,
And like we're both full time in the company with a family,
yeah,
so it's like we have to make it work, or
yeah. There's like no option.
yeah, no other option.
I kind of feel like that's how we went in, or we go into anything too. It's like our marriage, there's no option to not make it work. Our work, right? Like there's no option not to have the things that we want or not to be able to put food on the table or whatever. Like we are, and I would say too, the problem you definitely have, I have too in a way, is that like we can figure things out. So I always say that's a skill set, but then also a downfall of ours is that anything we run into, like we can figure it out. So whether that's you on a client project or something a client's asking, or when it comes to business, or when it comes to going through some really lows in our career, we've been able to just figure it out because we're like, we have no other option, and we just kind of have that mindset.
Right. So going back to your point of like, I was like saving money and you were like really not doing that at the time. Like I remember when I met like your family and more your
I know where you're going with this.
your aunts, they're like, oh, I don't know, Morgan, he lives at home. Like, you don't want to be getting into that. You're whatever. I was like 22 or 3 at the time.
Yeah.
Which now I was like, what? That.
Yeah, I was 26, but yeah.
I was literally like fresh out of college.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And my thought was like, why would I pay for rent when I can live at home and
Yeah.
kind of do whatever I'm doing right now?
For sure.
But your like aunts like bringing that up, did you ever like question that, or were you
Yeah.
like whatever?
I would say, oh, that's good. You have never asked me that before. I definitely questioned it, but because, which you know this about me, but I'm like, I've always been the type of person that's like the day I turned 18, I left my parents' home and I never went back. Not because I didn't love my childhood home, but I was just like independent. Like I've never wanted to lean on anyone else but myself. I've always wanted to make more money than my husband. I've always wanted to be more successful, and I don't know why that is. And someone recently told me, they're like, you need to tap into that. And I was like, I know, I don't know where that came from, because I say I'm not competitive, but I think I've just like had this mindset of like succeeding, and maybe that goes back to like we both grew up in entrepreneurial mindset families, so I just saw how hard my parents work, so I just wanted to like go do things, I guess. And so yeah, when I was 18, left, went to California, moved, school, worked, moved back here, and then met you. And I will say that is the first time since high school that I dated someone that was living with their parents. So I'm like, was I 26 when I met you?
25.
Okay. So yeah, for me, I'm like, that's almost, what, 8 years, whatever the math is. I failed math. But so I'm like, it had been a really long time. So I think even before my family said anything, though, I remember.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I lived with them from graduation.
I know.
Like I moved out and then moved back.
I know. I just remember after I met you, and then you asked me out on a date, and then you're like, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, you live at your freaking parents' house. And I was like, okay. But I was, now looking back to, I'm like, how silly and dumb. But I just remember thinking like, okay, there's not like, I'm going to your place to hang out or you make me dinner. Like, it's just kind of a mindset of like, oh, I was here and now I'm like that. But then the first time you brought me to your parents' house, I don't know if you remember this, and it was middle of the day. And I remember driving into your parents' home and they were ice skating, like the two of them ice skating on the pond in their yard. And I was like, what kind of marriage is that? Like, that is so fun. Like, they're just out there playing together and having fun midday. And like, I hadn't seen that, you know, like I didn't grow up like that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like that is so cool. And then I remember thinking like, wow, that's what you're around. Like that's who you're hanging out with. So I remember too thinking like, oh, that's like friends. So I think even in our marriage and our relationship, like I looked at your parents like, oh, they're our friends. Like we're hanging out with the roommates. But yeah, so then when my aunt said that, I was just kind of like, oh, I was used to, you know, but that's been my life too, is like other people, you know, and having their opinions. And I'm like, cool, in one ear out the other. Like I've already formed my own opinion. So, but I had that before they thought. That was a long answer to your question.
Yeah. But I won them all over because now they have me do other work for them.
Yes, exactly. You won them over very quickly because you're the handyman in the family. And yeah, he's like almost too much. But yeah, so I will say with that too, like going further into what our community has asked us to is just like how we got started, you know, how we got to where we're at today and all that. Like I credit all of that to you and taking leaps and thinking smart. And it's like after college, instead of going and living downtown and paying all this rent, like I think that's a humble thing. And also like setting your pride aside of like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
It's pretty much how we like were able to launch without like going and getting a loan or anything like that.
For sure.
Like we had equity in the properties that we had flipped.
Right. Yep. So yeah, we always say too, like, right, like we launched our company on our own from the ground up, debt free. We've always prided ourselves on that too. Whereas a lot of, you know, companies have investors and different things like that, which also is a way to go. But I think it's been cool, but also challenging at times to figure it out the whole way and lean into things and things like that. All that to be said, we've done how many properties is kind of what started Construction2style and the why behind it.
Like renovation flip properties?
Yeah.
I think we've done 5, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. 5. And so the why too. I want this, you know, us to talk about the why. So like how and then why. And I think with the homes that we've done, obviously from the beginning to now, they've all evolved. But the one thing I love doing, and I'd be curious to know what you love doing, as in like I love being able to, we talk through everything that we do and why we're doing it and like what we're putting into homes, and just we've been more intentional in leaning into that in homes. And I think because these homes that we've done and we flipped and some we've lived in, some we haven't, we've been able to firsthand see like how it's shaped our lives, how truly what you put into your home, what the purpose, the colors, the products you put in your home like truly do affect your everyday mental health. And so that's something that I've loved and being able to do and truly experience, because then we know what our clients are going through. Like when they're living through renovations, sometimes it's good, bad, right? But it's like, yeah, we know we've been through it. And also this is why we know X, Y, and Z and how important it is not to cut corners at different areas that mean something and that will truly affect your everyday life.
Adding to that point, like we do have clients that are only worried about like, oh, I'm planning to move, or what if in 10 years I'm going to, like, how does this help my like return on investment?
Yep.
And it's like, well, if you're thinking about it for that, then you probably shouldn't be hiring a contractor.
Right.
The only way to recoup that money is if you do it on your own.
Or like, are you saying to like GC it on your own?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It isn't cheap to hire like a contractor and have them do all the work.
Yeah.
Our main push usually is like, do it for you because you're living here.
Yeah.
Don't think about the future because
Yeah.
like even if you do a renovation, like the trend changes like really quick.
Yeah.
And by the time you want to put it on the market anyway, it's probably going to be dated.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get your money back anyway.
Right.
Like, which isn't probably a good thing to like share or say that, but like you have to do it for you.
Yeah. And I would say too, one thing I wish we would have learned earlier in our career is the mindset of attracting our ideal clients. I think we were just like, yes, a lead, great. And now we're really honing
Yeah, but
in.
there's part of that, like
Yeah.
building a company where you have
True.
to
Good point.
take every opportunity
Yeah.
to like get your feet wet and
Yep.
like, yeah, we would
That's true.
do work for free to get like, like literally
I
do
know.
things for free to like
Yes.
be like, okay, yeah, we did that. We can do that. Now
Yep.
we can offer it to more people.
Right. And being able to learn and experience and for marketing and
Yeah.
also even to get to that next, what you're saying too, that next place of attracting our ideal clients, we had to say, hey, can we do this? Can we put this into your home, right? Because we want to start incorporating this into more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so we should share a little bit on our personal side. So who we are, about us. We've been married for how long?
11 years.
11 years. We always forget our anniversary. We're also people who don't care. We don't need the small celebrations. What's your love language? I always
My love
forget.
language?
Yeah.
Physical touch.
Oh yeah, physical touch. And mine's time. So we like spending time together, right? And touching. But so moments like that anyway, we always forget. We always forget birthdays and we always forget anniversaries.
So I think part of that too is like you're not a diamond ring girl.
Oh yeah. Oh, share that story.
I mean, yeah. Kind of going back to like the, he lives at home, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. Like
What a loser.
When we get engaged, Morgan wanted like the cheapest wedding band ever with no diamond. And I'm just like, okay, like here's what you want. And like she loved it. But then I'm like, which doesn't matter, but it's like, what do the people around think? Like,
Oh my gosh.
oh, he bought a whatever, couple $100 ring.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he must not.
That's so funny. So I really was walking up to people. I was like, I'm engaged.
And they're like, what?
Yeah, they literally stood and looked at me and they're like, what? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. But I knew because I'm someone who likes to work with my hands and I'm like, I don't like rings. I don't like drawing attention to my hands either. And I knew I wanted to wear it. So I was like, I want the same ring as you.
But you're not like flashy with jewelry and things like that either.
Yeah. So I've never wanted that. So you knew that
so it's
from
not
day one.
Your vibe.
Yeah, I was like, if you want to get me something, give me a camera and let's document the rest of our life. And you did. And I still have it. Oh, that's so funny. Who would have known, too? Like, I was, giving a camera, and, like, that's literally all of a sudden what kind of led our journey. But, yeah, so married 11 years, have 3 kids, 10, 7,
Yeah, so whenever
4.
you forget how long we've been married, so you're
Yes.
more than G.
I know.
Who is
We have
10.
to think how old our kid is, and then 1 year added to
Yeah.
that. Yeah. 10, 7, 3. 3 kids, no animals. We're not animal people.
10, 7, 4.
Oh, 10, 7, 4, yeah. And we forget their birthdays, ages all the time.
You do.
I do. And their birthdays, too.
Yeah.
And yours.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned about you is you like me to remember your birthday, but you don't want to do anything. You just want me to remember it.
Because you didn't remember it for like 5 years.
Yes. So, yeah, 3 kids, no animals, live in the
Ellie
suburbs.
told me yesterday that she's getting a dog, though.
I know.
But one that doesn't bite.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Or a cat. Well, the other big question we get all the time is people wonder how we work together as a couple.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. How? And it sounds awful, but sometimes I'm just like, it's not that big of a deal. And I've been trying to hone in, and even in my journaling, of like, why? But I think, what do you always say? You always say,
Well, I think, like, yeah, we own our companies together, but we don't, our day-to-day isn't like, we're not like together going out and doing everything together. Like, you have your role and I have my role. And I don't know.
I also think it's because...
Kind of the easy way, but...
Yeah. And we're both very independent people. We're not very dependent on each other, even though we work as a team, we work as partners, we love spending time together. Someone just asked me yesterday, they're like, is he like truly your friend? And I was like, yes. And so I think that has a lot to do with it, because I think sometimes
We're both middle children.
oh yeah, we're both middle children, let things go easily. But I think honing, because I always say too, like, it doesn't work for everyone, and that's okay, and you have to be okay with it. Like, you can't push it to work. And fortunately for us, it has worked, and I think we're both like respectful in boundaries, and
Well, I think we both like what we do too.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, like yeah, there are days that are
Yes.
tough, but we like what we do, and like when we do have a date night, like we talk about work-related
Right.
things or goals or whatever.
Yeah.
Where I know a lot of people want to turn that off,
right.
but we don't.
Yeah, and we don't feel the need to either. Or if we're traveling or whatever, like, we're working, we're always on, we're always working, but we're okay with that.
I was actually thinking about that on my way home yesterday. Like, you and I have taken, I think, 3 vacations,
Yeah,
like not work-related,
yeah.
like the whole time
In
we've
11
been
years.
married. 3 or 4.
But that's, like, I would rather, like, yeah, people are asking about upcoming work stuff or travel stuff, and I was like, yeah, we have travel stuff coming up, but it's all work-related. But I'm
work.
like, that's kind of what lights me up, and
Yeah.
like, neither of us want to go somewhere and just lay there and stare at each other.
Yeah.
And if we do, we want to go by ourselves probably, or with our friends. I don't know. But yeah, it works for us. And I think early on too, right? Like, we learn, like, stay in your own lane and do what you're good at, and you got to let the rest of the things go. And so we're able to work independently, do our thing when we need one another, when to lean on each other. I think we're really good at that in the balance of, like, know when to ask for help, and then know when to just, like, because too, if you're overwhelmed and stressed, I know, like, because both of us always have a million things going on, and that could get done, right? And so then I know if you're overloaded or overstressed, I know that if I can, I just need to slow down so that I can step up in other places to help you. Like this week, you were like, I need to put in long days. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna take care of the kids this week, right? And now I'm leaving, and you're still have a million things going on. You're like, okay, cool, I need to step up now and do this so that you can go do that thing. And I'm sure both of us are like, want to be like, no, but we don't. We just bite our tongues sometimes.
Obviously, we have like up and down like days and all that, but
Yeah.
like, why do you continue to do what we do?
The things that keep me going, I think, are truly, especially in the tough times, like tough times when we're getting beaten down and down again from comments, or you know, client comments, or, you know, just things too that aren't necessarily, I think the harshest ones that, like, are hard to swallow and keep moving through are like the commentary of things that might not necessarily seem harsh, but that really do keep us both up at night. And that, you know, because we do take things to heart so much. But I think also thinking about those things, I know what we're doing in the world, and I'm constantly reminded by, like, even when we drive or fly or leave the house or not leave the house, I'm like, the world is, like, surrounded by buildings, houses, everything, right? Like, everything that is being built is needing contractors. And so I see that need in the world. And
Well, it's like the basic things of human, like
Right.
we need food, shelter. And
Yeah.
I think there's 3 of them:
right.
food, shelter, and water.
Yeah, I don't know. But yes, so I'm like, just thinking about that mindset and truly wanting to live a good life and making the world a better place. I know I say that all the time and it sounds cliche, but I'm like, that truly just lights me up, is like seeing joy in other people, seeing joy in, you know, who we surround ourselves in, with ourselves. And so it's like, we get to do that within people's homes. And I'm like, really knowing that, like, super on a deep level, it's like, that is really cool. And so that's also the type of clients I want, is like those that care about the environment that they're in to truly live a better life. Because it's like, you know, you think about, I'm so happy waking up in our kitchen and making coffee. And it's like, we remodeled that 4 years ago, and it affects my, you know, daily mental health. Like, if our kitchen, you know, with the dishwasher, I'm like, if stuff is left out, I lose it. So I'm like, that's also just like your home. And so I think that's what keeps me going, is I get these little glimpses of, like, even in those moments when clients are making those comments, like, I'm reminded, like, that's their energy being funneled to me, right? And it's like, we have the power and the ability to, like, create better energy in the world, honestly. And it's just like, we get to do that within spaces. Granted, they don't get to feel that till we finish, but it happens. It does happen every time. And we see that within clients. So I think it's hard through those moments, but I'm reminded within that negative energy that we're able to truly, like, we get to change that. Like, we have the power and the ability within the work we do to change that. And that's really freaking cool. How about you?
Well, I have one more add on to that.
Oh, okay.
What is your like motivation to continue with like social media and marketing and all that?
I love content creation. I think it's really fun and I think it's personable. And you know me, I'm such like a personable person. And so I like to meet new people. I like to learn. One of my things I wrote down, I think 2 years ago, is like, always stay curious, like always ask questions, no matter if I feel a different way or not. Like I always am trying to say like, you might be right. And then I want to know the why behind that. Like no matter what, if I agree or disagree, because then I get to tap into, more. And so I think just with social media marketing, like it's always evolving. It's always changing. I think it's just so cool to see where the industry is going. And, like I was one of the first ones to jump on the AI train, to inundate myself with it, to spread, anything I know about that, good or bad. And so I think it's really neat. Like we're able to do that through marketing and make these relationships and connections with people that we wouldn't meet down the street or at school or in our community. Like we get to do that at a global level.
Yeah.
And I mean, we say this all the time. It's like some of our best friends are people that we met online.
Yeah.
And we only see them at work events and stuff, right? And I'm just like, I cry almost every time we leave a summit, and I'm actually depressed for a day because I'm like, I love these people so much. Yeah. And so it's like, if marketing and social media and all that didn't exist, like how sad.
Yeah, you wouldn't know a lot of the people that we know.
I know, isn't that crazy to think about? We might be like depressed or not even here because we just kidding. But maybe. Jeez. Oh. What about you in marketing or social media, I should say, because a lot of
media?
Well, yeah, because a lot of times people think you don't want to be on camera when, well, you can answer that.
Well, I wouldn't pick it to be like my thing I do. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I will do it here and there. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of people think that I like hide from it.
Yeah.
But I'm usually like.
You're at work.
Yeah. And like when I'm at work, and I know there's people who do it, but I'm like, I want to get in and get what I need to like do done and keep moving.
Yeah.
And like even if it's my phone. Yeah. Like finding a thing to hold it.
Right.
And like moving it around for different camera angles. Like it will add so much time to my day where I'm just like, forget about it. Like I'm not going to do it. Yeah. But I would like to be better with it.
Yeah. Because you want it. Well, and this is what kind of led to this, us talking YouTube. Like you've said for years, like I want to get our YouTube going.
Well, I think
so I'm like, let's get it going.
A huge opportunity. Yeah. And like, but like the grind of it to do it. Like I've tried to do it on my own and like filming and editing and doing like commentary or voiceover. Like I don't actually have the time to do it. Yeah. So I don't know. Trying to find the balance of everything. Well,
and two, that kind of goes back to one of those questions is like, for us and working together, I remember a time like marketing, social media, all this, like it in content creation, like it caused friction, not because you didn't want to do it or I didn't want to do it, but it's a lot of work and a lot of time. And we had to keep the lights on or cash flow moving. And it's like, this got put on the back burner, but we both knew the opportunity potential. So then I'm getting frustrated at you because you're not documenting things, and you're getting frustrated at me because I won't shut up and stuff like that, or I'm showing up, right? And so I think there was a moment just probably even a few years ago where I was like, okay, I'm going to lean into like, this is my role. I can show up. I don't need, right? And you don't need that either. I think sometimes people probably think like, oh, it's this or that, like the Morgan Show. And it's like, no, you're definitely the face behind the brand, the owner of the company, but like you are focused on other things. And then when you come in, and now there's no tension there anymore with that. There's no stress because it's like we're each doing our thing. And then when it does work, we come together and do it. Yeah. Okay. How about you with work though? And then we can kind of end on that is what keeps you going with work? Because one thing you've said to me and continue to say is like, when there's tension, which there is in every single project, I think that's another misconception is like HGTV, oh, it's going to be great. And it's like, no matter what, you are going through construction and it's living in a construction zone is not easy, and there's always going to be challenges. And then you are actually going to the home and like you're face to face with the clients. You're in this awkward energy, and like they could be mad at you at that moment, and you have to still show up and put a smile on your face and get the work done.
Well, especially with what we do, like not only are we doing like, I don't know, construction, but we're remodeling primarily.
Yeah.
Where the client is living in the home.
Yeah.
And generally they're married. Typically they have a family. So like we get there and they're in the morning grind of like getting the kids out the door, and like we can show up at the wrong time and like feel that tension. But what keeps me going and what brings me down is the client. Remodeling is hard. Like things are dirty. Like your house is going to be like in shambles pretty much for a while, but I wish the client would like trust the whole entire process all the way through.
And some
like,
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even like little things where like you try and like lay the groundwork down for them and like, okay, this is going to be really, really dirty and you're going to be uncomfortable. And then we get to the really dirty part and they're uncomfortable and like mad at you about it. But it's like, I tried to like tell you that.
Yeah.
But if we can get through all that and then we get to the end and like generally they're happy. I don't know, we've made good friends that have been clients.
For sure.
Like we go out and have dinner with them. Like we go golfing.
Yeah.
So like that is what keeps me going is like the relationships with like the client.
Yeah.
And then on top of all that, like I like to build things.
Yeah.
I do like the process. If I could eliminate the headache of the client, like that would be my perfect like job. People like ask me like, how do you keep going and not get burnt out? And it's really because of like the change in day to day that I have.
Right. And projects and clients.
Yeah.
And
Like
things
my
that we're
day is
doing.
always different.
Yeah.
Like I could work on my computer one day. I could be doing demo one day. I could be doing finished work one day. Maybe
Right.
I have to do tile. Like my day to day is very different and I don't get like burnt out because of that.
I love that. If there's one thing we could go back and change, what and why?
Thing that comes to mind right away to me is like if we would have made the connections with people that we have now earlier,
Yeah.
we could have like eliminated a lot of the headache and like
Losses.
money like literally thrown out the window for not having a contract, not
Right.
having our documentation of the project like nailed down, like all the little things like that where if you like have a mentor like right away,
Yeah.
you can like skip over all that headache. And even if you have to like pay for a mentor or like
Yeah.
pay to go to the contractor coalition, like if I could have done that from the beginning, like it pays for itself within a year for sure. Under a year.
For sure.
Like the things that we know now, like even our first kitchen remodel, how much was that?
Oh my gosh.
Like
We probably
30
paid for
grand?
it. Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure. I remember the drywall was like $8,000.
We're like, oh, I guess we're paying for this out of pocket.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, what I've been telling our kids recently too is like getting over the embarrassment, but I think that comes, or alongside embarrassment would be the word imposter syndrome, is like, I think years we're disruptors. So it's like we started doing things in the industry. We started sharing things right out the gates. We started being an open book, and people that were close to us too were like, you can't do that, or you can't share that, or like you live there, or X, Y, and Z. And I kind of like took a moment, right? Or we both did. And it's like, oh, like we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to whatever. So we treaded lightly at times where I'm like, I wish we would have leaned into our confidence and just like not have let little things like that get to us, because then again, I feel like the momentum would have been, which I'm so happy and so thankful for all the things we went through. And I always say too, like the biggest losses and lessons learned are what has propelled us. Without that, who knows too, but yeah, that's one thing I do look back on sometimes and I'm like, gosh.
You definitely have to take like the losses.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's like even with nowadays too, it's like easy to go online and see someone else doing something and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or maybe I should be doing it this way or that way. And I'm like,
they're way above me. Like,
yes. Yep. And so, yeah, I think leaning into my confidence and not getting the imposter or the embarrassment or whatever, and just being who we are, like showing up exactly who we are and rock and roll. Cheers. Thanks for listening, you guys. If you want to know anything more about us, you can head to construction2style.com or drop a question on any of our channels, and we'll be sure to talk through them in upcoming episodes.